TDE doesn't release enough music as...
Our thing is quality over quantity.
It's over. The drill era and all that with them producers that did them simple drill tracks.
Our children cannot read, let alone writing a paragraph.
It makes sense why so many of these rappers don't want to write. Have you ever given thought to maybe they can't write?
DIY.
Okay, DIYers, a few weeks ago, Punch sat down here on his podcast with Rap Radar, and he discussed a few different topics, mostly circulating around SZA, Ab-Soul, Kendrick Lamar, Isaiah Rashad. But in this point where I have it timestamped, he's talking about why TDE has taken the approach very differently from other labels, other collections, to go quality over quantity in an era where so many people, especially independent artists, champion the benefits of quantity. I'll tell you this, it's really relieving to hear someone speak on this because I know that there's not just one model that exists.
And we keep pushing. Y'all got something greater going.
So how do you feel like when people complain online that say TDE doesn't release enough music as some of you guys' peers, or, you know, the output isn't as frequent as other labels? What are your thoughts on that?
It's basic economics to me. You know what I mean? If you flood the market, it's gonna be oversaturated.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Did you hear that? One more time.
If you flood the market, it's gonna be oversaturated. And it's not gonna be as special when it happens. Our thing is always quality over quantity. I mean, if you make a quality product, people gonna keep coming back to it. Like, that's just human beings.
Right.
In general. Like, it might seem like you got something going, some momentum going when you constantly dropping, but you wearing yourself thin. People gonna get tired of that, and it's gonna be over.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Thank you, Punch. I often wonder why we as independent artists, musicians, don't compare our business model, our product, to other products that are out there on the market that have been here since before our grandmamas was here. For instance, a Coke, right? Coke has had pretty much the same standard design, even when they had actual Coke in the Coke, allegedly. They've had the same design. You don't see a massive push every year to bombard you with a gang of different Coke flavors. Yeah, they got cherry Coke, they got vanilla Coke, but that's not the center of their business. When I think about Oreos, it is the center of their business. And usually when a company gets in that place, it means that financially they may not be doing as well as it seems, even having a legendary brand as Oreos. I think they've since slowed that down, but I also think that when you do that, you put yourself in a position where you're going to burn out in the minds of consumers quicker. But for some odd reason, I don't know if it's because of the speed in which we can create this music, this product. I don't know if it's because of some artists having a bit of a detachment. They don't necessarily fall in love with the process. They really look at it as a factory assembly line. I don't know why there's not more artists that are standing on this conversation. Now, I know it's hard when you got platforms like Spotify, specifically their CEO, Daniel Ek, saying that artists that release albums every 3 to 4 years are going to struggle on his platform. It's probably not the most popular thing to say. And when you have artists that are having to meet quotas for their labels, they don't even have a choice in the matter. But it is good to hear someone like Punch, who's obviously TDE has found their success putting quality over quantity.
So that's why our thing is always, quality over quantity. No disrespect to anybody who do it the other way.
So this almost seems like an old school model in this day and age, right? Because streaming kind of makes you feel like you're supposed to just constantly flood it out, refresh, and here it is. So is it a tough stand to stay that way, or the whole team's kind of always aligned that we got to keep doing it the way we've done it?
Nah, you gotta stay strong. I remember hearing a Jay-Z interview a while ago when he was talking about that. He said he's not under nobody's timeline.
Oh yeah, rushing this process. No,
right,
rush
exactly.
My process. Yeah.
Yeah. So it make perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
But I understand the pressure though when it feel like you got to put something out because everything's moving so fast.
Yeah.
But if it's quality and timeless, it stays.
But even though like the business has changed, since you guys first entered.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, you still don't feel like the need to like.
I'm not doing it,
he's not doing it.
I love it.
You're not getting Schoolboy Q yet, buddy. Is that what you want?
I saw. I mean, I saw J Rock is in the studio.
Yeah, everybody working. But
one thing I can give you a little bit of insight from my time period there at TDE, just as a guest producer that was working specifically with Ab-Soul, just because you're not getting music from a TDE does not mean that they're not making music in those in-between times. Now, so much of that has shifted because obviously these artists have become much larger artists than they were when I was around in 2009 and 2010. But at that point in time, what I did see is even though your album's not coming up, Schoolboy Q, it's not out right now, okay, you still have this time slot to record whatever you have access to, production, whatever. They're constantly recording, right? When I met Kendrick back in 2008-9, he already had an archives of music. And I heard songs there I still haven't heard today. But when that's the way that you set yourself up, your quantity is not visibility in the public eye. Your quantity is, I'm going to continue to sharpen my axe. I'm going to continue to work on my craft. I'm going to continue to specialize in these things, try these things out, right? Rework these songs, bring other musicians in, producers in. Let's perfect upon this. And then when we drop, we won't have to follow it up in 3 months to stay relevant. The conversation is never about them staying relevant. The conversation is always about dropping quality that is going to be evergreen quality.
The thing though with that is people don't really change that much. How we get things change for sure, but who we are, our emotions, our feelings, the whole thing, and we still people. It's still gonna remain the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna end it there, but I want to go to this next clip over here. Shout out to Mr. Serve on No Limit Records, the artist on No Limit Records, the legendary No Limit Records. I've been saying it, but it's always dope to hear the OGs talking about it, to see even, like I got another clip here of a school teacher that's talking about the impact that this back and forth with Kendrick and Drake has had on her school kids. But Mr. Serve here talks about something that he's noticing, and he got an alert to young rappers to pay attention to what's happening, because I tell you, my friends, you may not see it right now because you're hovering around the culture, but those who have been artists for as long as I have, we've seen this movie a few times, and we know every so amount of years, music shifts, the demand shifts, the attention shifts. We're in the process of another shift right now. I'm gonna let him describe what he sees it from his point of view.
Let's talk with Serve. Check this out, young rappers and aspiring rappers, man. It's a change going on. Every 5 to 7 years in the industry, anybody will tell you they will change up and usher in a new style or something that they can now create and build and make more money off again. It's over. The drill era and all that with them producers that did them simple drill tracks and y'all drill style, it's over. They got the money they needed to make off y'all. You know the hidden agenda towards the community. Some of y'all have tragically died in this. Damn. You know, with doing this whole period, some of y'all have went to jail. So now that phase is phased out. This is the reason why they letting this beef come out. If you listen to all them dudes, they rapping, you know what I'm saying? And they going to producers and getting tracks from those producers y'all haven't been paying attention to because they didn't do that same sound all y'all do at Drill Music Sound. Y'all better go change up and y'all got to start rapping, and y'all better start getting with them producers that do tracks. You're not them simple drill tracks. Change up. Time is changing. Come on.
I love it. I love that message.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Matter of fact, I'm going to take a quick detour here because I think this message is going to apply on a cultural level, but also to an independent level for those of all different backgrounds. I love this quote here by Simon Mwanza. He says, if we don't handle our independence very well, colonizers will come back in the form of investors.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Let's break it down. If we don't handle our independence very well, colonizers will come back in a form of investors. What I'm seeing is that based upon the reaction that these corporations are noticing with a Kendrick, and they're seeing the ripple effect upon how this music is finding its way through all these different backgrounds, they're noticing that there's another opportunity for them to make money. But there's a problem. Disrespecting rappers who have little in their name, but they're stuck with a bunch of littles with the same color dreads, the Tekashi 6ix9ine starter pack. Same dreads, same ways of rapping, same content, same debauchery, all of that. And what they're noticing is, damn, it's not making the same kind of scratch that we're used to. One thing I'm going to say about the traditional record companies, they got their agendas. They love it when they're able to tear down or to make a community look crazy, specifically black communities. They love getting that shit off. But you know what they love more than just that? Money. Because it's the same industry that profited off of A Tribe Called Quest, profited off of these artists that they can hold up, the De La Souls. They can hold up and say, hey, we've got a nice balance of what's going on here. The only difference in this era is that there are more people who are more aware than they've ever been before. They have access to more information than they ever had before. And because of that, what I anticipate is that those of you who felt like the labels, these major producers that are connected to these labels, these major artists that are connected to these labels, for those of you that thought they wasn't going to ever choose you and you just a wallflower, they're going to come looking for you because you're making what they need. However, please take heed to this message here. If we don't value our independence very well, colonizers will come back in the form of investors. Hey, man, I want to put some money behind what you got going on because I believe in your message and I believe in you. It's going to be more commonplace as we see this shift go underway.
Nah, and I'm still not content till I'm dominating every single continent. My shit go stupid, you don't think, then use your common sense. I did your wire and I know that I'm a product.
When they play the new king, all the DOYs go crazy. All the DOYs go crazy. When they play the new king, all the DOYs go crazy. All the DOYs go crazy.
On the other side of it, I thought this was really interesting because little kids, like, you know what I'm saying, that don't really fit the demographic, like young 13, 14 white girls who are on TikTok that are like, Euphoria has 5 different meanings. If you didn't know, I'm going to break it down for you in this video. And hit that subscribe button. It's crazy. They don't all talk like that, but I'm saying it's crazy to even see that that's a reality. Well, this school teacher here explains what she noticed as a teacher in this environment. And I thought it was really interesting because I think it only adds to the narrative that things are changing.
If anyone needed further proof that Kendrick is winning this thing, you should have stepped foot in a high school today. I, up until today, taught at a very Drake-centric high school. Rich Baby Daddy is the most frequently requested song to put on my class playlist. If I ask students what they're listening to in their headphones, Drake. The week after the leak was a nightmare. But today I walk in and I can feel that there has been a tectonic shift. The second I walked into the building, I could hear the buzz. I could kind of overhear the conversations and I was like, oh my God, this is a Kendrick school now. I polled my classes on what they thought and they were ready to throw down for Kendrick. I had like one Drake defender in each class, if that. And honestly, I feel bad for those kids because they were getting screamed at.
I can only imagine. Wop, 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 wop. Freaky ass nigga use a 6'9" guy. Freaky ass nigga use a 6'9" guy. Hey. If kids were even an ounce of how brutal they were when I was in high school, I can't imagine if a song like this was circulating around. Oh my gosh. Stand up and say you're a Drake fan today. Walk inside with that OVO shirt today. Go to the lunch line with that owl. What does the OVO stand for? Other vaginal options. What is it, the braids? You don't want to work with me no more? Okay. I can't imagine what that's like for high school. Oh my gosh. So I believe her.
And honestly, I feel bad for those kids because they were getting screamed at. I had a kid walk into class, phone over his head, blasting BBL Drizzy. And then he went up to his friends and got them to freestyle on it. Like, excuse me.
Maybe the kids aren't lost. Round of applause for the kids. Come on, kids. That's what we want to hear, kids. The kids are breaking the hypnosis. Drake, you were so good for all of these years, man. You had these kids hypnotized. You had them hypnotized into believing that you could sing. And it was nothing called Melodyne. You had them convinced, boy. You had them convinced. They was convinced that you was a gangster too, because you put them barrettes in your hair, and they was like, damn, he from Texas, he from Florida, and he could do dance hall. They thought all of that shit. They was hypnotized. Now the kids is walking in with phones on their head like, I spit some of this BBL Drizzy though.
He went up to his friends and got them to freestyle on it. Like, excuse me? This was a Drake high school. I have students who hate reading who are doing the most meticulous, close reading of these lyrics that I have ever seen. They're finding subtle quadruple entendres and like explaining them eloquently to their peers. This is a cultural moment and a true educational experience for everyone.
I mean, we didn't need a Caucasian perspective to let us know it's a cultural moment, but it's beautiful to hear how this is all translating to many different walks of life. I hope you understand what's going on here. There's something else I want to draw your attention to because I didn't get a chance to talk about it in my last clip. I didn't add it here, but I think it's the perfect time to do it because I get encouraged when I hear that the kids are caring about things that let the popular rappers tell it. These kids don't care about that shit. These kids don't care about that shit. Man, all they want to do is get vibes off. All they want to do is get vibes off. They don't care about that shit. They don't care about... If you let them tell it, you would think these kids couldn't spell their own name.
Hey, I am not trying to fearmonger you, but I was an assistant principal, I was a middle school teacher, and I was a high school teacher. And I need you to know America's in a literacy crisis, and they're not making a big enough deal about it. Our children cannot read. Our children cannot read, let alone writing a paragraph, let alone comprehension. They cannot read. They do not know how to sound words out. They were not taught that. And if you're wondering, well, then why does my kid just keep getting passed on to the next grade? Because that's what they're doing now. They're not holding the children back. They're moving them on. They're graduating them, knowing that your child is illiterate. Our next change makers, our next lawmakers, our next voters cannot read. I beg of you, take the tablets and the cell phones away.
Let me break this down for a second and why this is so important. I know it may tailor off from what we're talking about with hip hop politics and whatnot, but let me help you to understand what happens. Part of the learning devices for a lot of these kids, part of the ways that they interact with words and interact with just their general way of understanding life and language is through music. Now, what happens when you have a whole generation of listeners, young listeners, who have listened to these artists who have been told by they zaddies, they daddies at the labels to dumb that shit down because their analytics guy, their playlister guy, thought that'd be the best way to create music. Now, there's other conspiracies at hand with this, that this is a concerted effort to make sure that minorities stay below the reading comprehension levels so that they're able to always be in a place of being an employee to some of these people. There's conspiracies of those and whatnot. But I think that there has been a concerted effort for the kids to not only want to dumb down, but also for them to say that as the new cool. For music that makes them think to be seen as mid, to be seen as uncool or whatever they want to call it. So it's really interesting to see how this is shifting right now underneath this new shift in things with the approach that a Kendrick took. You're having a very different conversation as people break down the lyrics. I don't care which one you think are better. One thing that cannot be denied, two different types of thinking go into reading a Drake lyric breakdown versus a Kendrick lyric breakdown. The fact that the kids now have found a appealing ramp to bring them into this world is so encouraging, because it means that instead of these kids now being the end result of rappers who decided that dumbing down was the best thing to do, they could be on the end result where now they're picking up books, they're going into these different topics with a different vigor and passion because their artists that they look up to are utilizing these tools. I'm gonna let her finish though.
Practice letter recognition and sounds and reading with your child, please. And I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. They been knew the babies couldn't read and didn't care. You know when they started caring? After the pandemic. Them test scores plummeted. First of all, like test scores for reading were like pretty stagnant for the last like decade. But after the pandemic, they plummeted. And now they were like, oh, we got to do something about it. Columbia University, I'm looking at you. You fully backed balanced reading. Fully backed it. Teachers College was 100% pushing out balanced reading. That's why the kids don't know how to sound things out. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go do some research. Now they're trying to push science of reading. That's the way. And if you're like, what's science of reading? That's what we was doing. And by we, I'm talking about millennials and older. The little b, k, t, eh. You know, when we were sounding words out, yeah. Now they're trying to bring that back. And you're like, wait, they stopped doing that? Yes! For years, they stopped doing it.
The point that I'm getting at. I'm going to end on these final notes right here. Why is that relevant? Why does that conversation mean so much to what's going on? Because it starts to make sense why so many of these rappers don't want to write. Have you ever given thought to maybe they can't write? That's not here to make fun of anybody that is illiterate. That's not here to make fun of anybody who is still learning in that process in their adulthood. But it is a reality check. We're allowing, and I say we now as a parent, we're allowing kids that never had the opportunity or were never in environments to learn the devices, teach the kids, our kids, how to talk, how to speak, how to piece together words, how to comprehend, how to reason. Music is a powerful tool. I remember there were so many conferences back in the 90s, so many panels in the 90s and the early 2000s that talked about like the negative effects that hip hop could have on kids. And I was always on the side of like the Bun Bs who were like, man, y'all just hating. What about movies? What about video games? What about all these other things? And there's a part of me that still is attached to that, but there's also another part of me that understands as a lyricist, my goal, my center goal when I'm writing these lyrics is to make an impact on my listener. My center goal is to leave a lasting effect upon your memory, to make choruses that are sticky, so sticky that they're catchy, so catchy that they make you want to come back to the music, so catchy they make you want to buy merch. That's part of my job description. Thankfully, I'm using it as a way to tell my truth, to be authentic in my approach. What about for those artists that are using it as vehicles to promote prescription drugs that they don't even take them damn selves, alcohols that they don't even drink? It's so crazy to me when I see these rappers that you listen to the content of their music, they talk about the craziest shit. And then when they go to their MTV Cribs, these niggas is vegans. They're vegans. They're vegans who never drink alcohol. But what they tell your kids is completely different. I think when I got older, I got tired of these rappers lying. I got around these rappers that you niggas was lying. I can't do that shit no more. The older I get, I'm like, you don't gotta do that. There was an era where you had to talk about certain things if you wanted to get mainstream appeal, if you wanted to get signed and all of that. Them times is gone. Talk about what you want to talk about. There's an audience for whatever you do. I see a gas station attendant that raps about being a gas station attendant. And he has people who are gas station attendants who love watching his content, people who are 9-to-5ers. There's an audience for everything out here. And it is indeed shifting. But once again, be careful of the freedom that you now see in your independence to talk about the things that you're passionate about. Be careful, because that's when the colonizers come back in the form of tech companies, in the form of investors that want to see the message reach the masses. I hope that you're able to use your wisdom, as I am often challenged with when these folks come to me with checks. Use your wisdom, use your integrity, and say, no, if what I did, it was good enough to get your attention, I know it's great enough to grow tenfold, 10 times that. But one thing is needed to be stated. One thing cannot be denied. We are underneath right now a huge pendulum swing. I just hope that you as a creator, as a listener, you're on the right side, or you're getting to the right side. Those are my thoughts though, DIYers. You let me know what you think. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.